So you can whine about it all you want, but when you look a certain way, you are embodying all the positive or negative assumptions and stereotypes that come with that appearance. Remember that this is a game of strategy, and we understand that we live in a world that's made by men for men. We understand that the rules are rigged and we can't play fair in an unfair world. And as women, we often complain that we live in a world where we're judged by our appearances. And to be fair, that does suck. And that does hold us to a standard that is like it's difficult. It's difficult on us when we're constantly being judged by our appearance or for our appearance, I should say, right? Yeah, okay. But anyway, what if I told you there is a solution to this? And the answer is right under our noses. If the world judges us by our appearance, then let's work backwards. Think about, how do we want to be judged? How do we want to be perceived? And then how do we dress for the part so that we can cosplay as that person? And then on top of that, when you're the center of attention, there is a sense of power that comes with the attention and the influence that you have. And underlying that attention is the social status that makes people want to be around us, that makes people want to do things for us, that makes people want to make us happy so that they can benefit from that social status that you have. A fundamental element of human nature is that humans are hardwired to trust appearances and to trust what is right in front of us. That's why sales reps are usually pretty women. Visibility equals value, and when you make yourself visible in a way that commands respect, then it is easier to bring people's defenses down and get what you want. I talk about this a lot in Law 3, which is to use your pretty privilege. And I might repeat some of those principles here, but that's because they're literally so important. These are all patriarchy hacks that we need to understand. So looks carry power, but in the same way that looks can give you power, they can also strip you of power. Because we live in a world where women are often seen but not heard, so we have to let our looks do the speaking for us. And when we complain that we're being judged by our looks, we are forgetting that we have access to a language that men don't have. We have access to the language of looks, so we can let our looks do our speaking for us. Because looks carry meaning. If you go out wearing sweatpants and sneakers, people might assume that you're a bum, you're a pothead, you're lazy, you're a tomboy, 100 million things. So don't let people assume these things, disarm them before they even have a chance to make these assumptions, because you can control those assumptions just by the way that you dress. Men really don't have access to this. They can either look like a bum or they can look put together. They can look like a player. They don't have access to this whole menu of options, to this whole language that we have where we can let our looks speak for us. And we are already fluent in this language. We just have to learn how to communicate. So I have a challenge for you. Next time you get dressed, pretend that wherever you're going, you can't talk and you have to rely solely on the way you're dressed. And ask yourself if the way that you're dressed is going to give you the outcome that you want, is going to make people see you in the way that you want. All right, with that, welcome to the baddest bitch in the building. Y'all know the drill. Something I wanted to mention is that I have been rereading the Harry Potter series. I am on book 5, The Order of the Phoenix. I can't even tell you guys how many times I've reread the series because my Order of the Phoenix book is ripping at the seams. And there's a quote in there that Ginny said. Ginny is actually such a baddie. Ginny said that living with Fred and George long enough made her realize that with enough nerve, anything is possible. Picture it. It's 2004. It's the start of a new school year at North Shore High School. You're 16 years old and you're about to start your first day of public school after being homeschooled your entire life. You're wearing an ugly flannel shirt, an even uglier pair of green khaki pants. You have your hair tied back in a low ponytail. It's like you got dressed by a blind lumberjack. And your first day goes terribly. Obviously, people treat you like an outcast, or they just outright ignore you. And the only friends you make are, surprise, surprise, two outcasts. Does this sound familiar yet? That's because I'm describing the beginning of Mean Girls. So I thought Mean Girls would be the perfect example for this episode because, I mean, we all know the plot of this movie. Katie goes to high school and she looks like garbage. She gets scouted by the plastics because underneath that horrible lumberjack outfit is a pretty girl. And she undergoes a makeover and ends up looking like a girl at the end of it. And that first scene after she cleans up her act is her wearing a miniskirt, a pair of heels. She has her hair curled, she has her makeup done. She looks like a girl. And everything changes for her after her makeover because she gains social status because she's accepted into the plastics, the most popular group in school. She stands out among all the other girls in the school because the plastics already stand out because they look so girly and feminine and cute. And she gets treated better by her classmates. They take her more seriously, and she starts getting attention from boys, especially from her crush. So this example is really, really good because it shows us that looks carry power, and that is what Law 14 is all about. So this law is about being the center of attention, and we're doing that through our appearance. If you want to learn how to be the center of attention through the way you carry yourself, Law 9 is the one for you. That's act like a queen to be treated like one. This law is going to be more about the outward appearance, like what you're wearing and how you're dressing. There's this psychological effect tied to how we perceive people based on their appearance. And when a woman dresses nicely and femininely, if that's a word, and she's confident, that is you dressing in a way that looks and feels powerful, and it conveys a sense of authority and self-assuredness. You have control over how you're perceived. So what I want to do now is I want to spend some time talking about what you can practically do so that you can dress in a way where you are the center of attention and where your looks carry the power that is going to help you get the things that you want and get people to make the assumptions about you that you want. So this is going to be a very practical episode because I'm going to talk a lot about actual things that you can do and also things that you should unlearn so that we can really step into the power that we have and speak that language, or letting our looks speak the language for us. Okay, so let's go. And I need you to come into this with an open mind. So number one, stop dressing like a man. We are in a pandemic of people cross-dressing and also of people dressing like hip-hop dancers. It's become so trendy for women to dress like men, like with baggy pants, baggy cargo pants, baggy jeans, or worse. I don't even know if this is better or worse, but the matching sets of sweatpants and sweatshirts that are the same color. Like, is that supposed to be your nice going out outfit? Is that why it's matching? I don't know. But we're in this really weird time where it's so normal for women to wear clothes that look like men's clothes, and also vice versa, but we're not talking about the men. So I've been putting together a list of stuff not to wear because it's so masculine or hip-hop dancer coded, and I'm going to read this list. It's not, exhaustive, but let me tell you a few things. Jordans, or honestly, if there's any shoe that you can find at Foot Locker, chances are maybe don't wear them out as a woman. Sweatpants and sweatshirts, as we know, jeans, especially baggy jeans, combat boots, cargo pants. I don't know why you're dressed like you're going to war or you're about to paint a house. A smartwatch outside of the gym. That one I see a lot of, like somebody wearing like a beautiful evening gown and then a smartwatch. Are you kidding me? And leggings outside of the gym. So if it's acceptable to wear it in the gym, maybe don't wear it outside of the gym. Just a thought. So let me tell you this. Dressing like a woman is so fun and alluring that there is an entire art around cross-dressing like a woman. It's called drag. You've heard of a drag queen, but have you ever heard of a drag king? No, because dressing like a man should literally just be saved for Halloween. Like I dressed as Pitbull for Halloween last year. It was funny, it was fun, and that's one time a year I'll do that. And I still wore a skirt, actually. I wore a skirt. I wore a blazer and a white dress shirt, and then I wore a skirt. So let's save dressing like a man, dressing in cargo pants to look like a painter, dressing in combat boots to look like you're going to war. Let's save all those things for Halloween, okay? And as a rule of thumb, if it is socially acceptable for a man to wear it, then it's probably too masculine for it to be flattering on a woman, because women and men have different body shapes. A piece of clothing cannot be flattering for both shapes. And a lot of women's clothes nowadays are just men's clothes that are slightly tailored, like business wear, like blazers and dress pants. I'm sorry, but when I was working a corporate job, I would never wear like just a plain black blazer. I would have a cute, colorful tweed blazer, or I had this pink blazer with these jeweled buttons. You are a woman. You can wear flowy dresses and pretty blouses and red lipstick and blush and all of that. And you choose to wear sweats? Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Oh my god. So, what does this all mean? I'm going to tell you what it means. Number one, and I told you to come into this with an open mind. Number one, no more pants. No more pants. No more. I gave all my pants to charity. I only have a couple of pairs left, and they're part of these cute matching sets, and that's it. Because, like I said, if it is acceptable for a man to wear it, then it's probably too masculine for it to be flattering on a woman. Why would I wear pants when I can wear a skirt or a dress? And some of you might be thinking, oh, but what about the winter? It's going to be cold, blah, blah, blah. Well, get yourself a thick pair of stockings. I like the heat tech ones from Uniqlo. And wear that under your skirt. Wear knee-high boots or get some longer knit skirts. There's always a way around it. This is my second or third pant-free winter, and I've been fine. And mind you, I had to be outside because I would take the subway to work, so the stations are not heated. They're freezing. And there was also a little bit of a walk from the station to my office, so I just worked around it. I wore my thick stockings, I wore a long jacket, or if I had to walk to the office at times, then I would actually wear a pair of pants over my stockings, and then I get to the office and I change into my skirt. So there's always a way around it. If you're just saying, oh my god, it's too cold, that is an excuse. Unless you live in like a really, really cold climate. I live in Toronto, Canada, so the coldest it got here was like -20, which is pretty bad, but yeah. Anyway, next thing. No more sneakers. Like I said, if you can find it at Foot Locker, then it's for men. It doesn't matter if it's a pink shoe. That's again like what I said before. A lot of men's clothes just became tailored or became pink, and now they call it women's clothes. So don't fall for that trap. And now you might be thinking, well, what about flat shoes? I can't always wear heels all the time, blah, blah, blah. Understood. I get that. White tennis shoes. That's my go-to. I have this pair of leather white, I think they're called tennis shoes. You know, those like just plain white shoes that are leather. I have a pair from Zara. I've had them for years. I love them. They're really good. And they were under $100. They're great. And that leads me to my next point. If you are going to a nicer event, a dinner, a date, something like that, where you're wearing a pretty evening type of dress, don't be wearing your tennis shoes. Don't be wearing flat sandals. No, you want to wear heels. And that doesn't mean you have to go and torture yourself and wear stilettos. There are kitten heels. There are short heels. I have a few pair of short heels that are like 3 inches high that I've run in those heels because we had to run away from these guys from a bar one time. they're pretty comfortable. So all you really need is 1 or 2 pairs of short 2 or 3 inch heels or kitten heels. That's it. You don't have to wear stilettos. Next point, small handbags. Carry a small handbag. You don't need to be Mary Poppins. You don't need to be carrying a briefcase with you. You don't need to carry a giant tote bag. None of that. Unless you're going to the office or on a trip or something, you don't need to carry a tote bag. You want to carry a nice small purse because you're not there to take care of everybody. You're there to carry your lip gloss, carry your little compact mirror, and that's pretty much it. So when you carry this giant bag, you're signaling to whoever you're with, especially if it's a dude, that, oh, I have everything here. I'm going to take care of everybody. I'm the mom, blah, blah, blah. So none of that. Get rid of your tote bags. Keep that for the office or for when you're traveling. Don't bring those out in public, please. Now, my last point, and again, I said keep an open mind. No more puffer jackets. I am guilty of this. I have a big, long black puffer coat, and like I said, I live in a place where the winters are really cold, so that jacket helps because it's long and it's warm. But what I'm going to do next winter is I'm just going to get a nice jacket that's a little bit like cinched at the waist. It has a belt, it has a fur lining on the hood, and it just looks a little bit more feminine because my puffer jacket looks like a garbage bag and it just looks really ugly and masculine. So I'm going to do away with that. And because I am self-aware, I am telling you guys that this one is something I need to work on. So yeah. But I have been wearing a lot of fur coats this year. My mom has some really cute fur coats, and if I go to a dinner or like a nicer event, not day to day, I wear the fur coats because they're super cute. Now, a couple of other things that are not directly related to clothes. Number 1, rosy cheeks and full lips. So make sure you're putting on blush and you're lining your lips in a way that makes your lips look really full. I am somebody with like 3 cc of filler in my lips, so I'm pretty good. I don't really need to overline them. But these 2 things, full lips and rosy cheeks, are signs of high estrogen production. And especially if you are with a dude, that actually signals to the male brain that you are a suitable mate. All right, little brain hack in there. And jewelry. Do not underestimate jewelry, especially if you're wearing like a turtleneck. You don't want to look like Steve Jobs. So if you're wearing a turtleneck, maybe wear some nice earrings or rings or something to show a little bit of hardware. So I told you to come into this with an open mind, because all of these things that I'm telling you are going to signal to people that you are a feminine woman. And these all carry assumptions with them that work in your favor. For example, if you're wearing a dress to work and your boss needs somebody to carry a box, do you think they're going to ask you or your other female colleague who's wearing pants? So I'm not just talking out of my butt. And you also might be thinking, oh, well, there's so many rules and standards and blah, blah, blah. Like, why do I have to follow all these? I just want to be comfortable. I just want to look like myself. Well, I'm going to talk about this more later, but remember, this is a game of strategy. These are all investments in yourself so that you can get what you want out of the world. So you can grab the world by its testiculars and get what you want out of it and flip the script. Because we're getting judged by our appearances. I'm going to talk about this more later, okay? So, all that to say, that was number 1. Stop dressing like a man. Number 2 is find what makes you different. If there is nothing different about you, nothing unique, then I am sorry, but you're probably unremarkable and forgettable in a crowd. By dressing feminine, you are already going to be different because we live in a world where everyone dresses like men. That's going to get you like 75% of the way there, but you need your own uniqueness added to it because you want to be the center of attention. And just because you think you ought to be the center of attention doesn't mean you should be. So you have to prove that that is a spot that you deserve. So you have to create a personal brand for yourself. Think about this. If you were to have a party where the theme was for everybody to dress up as you, what would they wear? Would your guests have trouble even figuring out what to wear? Or Are you unique enough where people will be like, oh, okay, I know what I'm going to wear? I had that theme for my birthday party last year, and everybody came wearing either pink or a matching set or a pink matching set because I am a pink girly. And even at the gym, like all my stuff is pink. My clips that I put on the bar are pink. The pen that I write in my notebook with is pink. My straps are pink. My shoes that I deadlift in are pink. Like anything, my gym bag is pink. Anything that I could make pink, I have made pink. And that makes me stand out in a world where everyone is wearing black and white and gray. So think about what makes you different and what your unique personal brand could be, because that's going to get you the extra 25% of the way there on top of dressing feminine. Because imagine dressing feminine and pink. You are going to super stand out. Next, number three is to know your crowd. So, when you're going to a party or an event and you ask yourself or you ask your friend, what's everybody wearing? And you do that so that you can wear the same thing as everyone. Stop doing that. You need to start asking what everyone's wearing so that you know how not to dress. So you don't dress like everybody else and blend into the crowd. Because remember that what can't be seen doesn't exist. So if you blend into a crowd, then you are a nobody. So figure out what the crowd is wearing and take it up a notch. And when I say a notch, I mean a notch. Don't go severely overdressing and looking like a buffoon, because you don't want to look like you're begging for attention. You want to command attention just by your presence. And I say all of this because being different gives you power. Just like your looks carry status and power, so does being different. And that goes into those looks because your looks are different. People are going to respect you. They're going to treat you better. They're going to take you seriously. Like the example of Mean Girls. As soon as Katie started dressing more feminine, people started to notice her and take her seriously. If you're going into a luxury store to make a purchase, you're not going to dress like a homeless person. You're going to dress nice. I actually use this as an example in Law 3. Bethany Frankel, who is a celebrity, tried to go into the Chanel store wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and they wouldn't let her in. She went in the next day wearing a matching top and skirt, heels, carrying a Chanel bag, looking rich, and they let her in with no appointment or anything. So when you're dressing feminine, you're dressing nice, and you're being different, you're communicating that you are not afraid to be seen and recognized for your individuality. And it takes a very specific type of woman to be comfortable with that, because you have to have a lot of self-respect, self-dignity, and self-love. Not everybody has that, unfortunately. But when you dress like a man or a hip-hop dancer or a house painter, you are downplaying your femininity, and you're doing what the patriarchy wants you to do, because the system is based on the perceived threat of femininity. So if you downplay your femininity, then you have played into the hands of the system that is trying to diminish that. Now, bringing all of this together, all of these things that I mentioned, not dressing like a man, being different, and knowing your crowd, when you understand these things and you actually implement them, that is going to make you the center of attention. We live in a world where women are falling ill to the cross-dressing pandemic. They're dressing like carpenters and painters and hip-hop dancers. They're wearing black and gray and boring colors. You have this huge opportunity to come in and be a breath of fresh air and wear a pink or a blue matching set and look super cute and different and just stand out in a sea of ugliness. And when you do this, you are forcing people to acknowledge your presence, because people are naturally drawn to things that are unusual or unexpected, but in the best way possible. And like I said, when you command attention, you make people drawn to you, and you become the one who commands the power. You have the upper hand because you're making people come to you. You're controlling the narrative because you've worked backwards and thought, how do I want to be perceived? Because I'm going to be judged by my looks. And how am I going to dress for the part? So you are in complete control. Let's talk about reversals. Throughout this episode, you might have been thinking to yourself, well, this is not who I am. I don't really like to have that much attention on me. Or I like to be comfortable. I dress a certain way. I want to wear pants. I want to be, who I am, and I can't change for anybody. Well, this is a game of strategy, my friend. And to get what you want and to have that outcome be lasting, you need to be strategic. Everything I talk about on this podcast is about strategy, because we live in a world where by default, the world is going to beat the crap out of you. This is your armor. So if you're telling yourself, I want to be comfortable and I can't dress like this, then fine, you're going to let the world beat the crap out of you. But if you've made a conscious decision to be strategic, to have your own best interests at heart, then you are ready. Your hand is open so you can grab the world by its testiculars. These are all investments into yourself. These are all things you're doing for yourself because you know how to play this game and you know how to hack the system and get ahead in the patriarchy because you want the best for yourself. And you're not doing this for the male gaze to get validation. You're doing everything with a purpose of getting ahead in life for yourself. You're doing this for yourself because you know what you want and how to get it. Another thing about being the center of attention is that it has to come across as being effortless. Remember how I said you want to know what the crowd is wearing so you can take it up one notch? That's because you don't want to look like you are begging and pleading for attention. Please, 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 please. No. Okay? It has to be effortless. And if you do the things that I've told you about dressing nicely in a feminine way, being different, creating your own brand, you're internalizing that self-assuredness and that confidence. The whole act of commanding respect is going to be completely effortless because it's coming from within. So you should be enchanting people with your confidence, not begging them to look at you. You're not begging for anything. And remember, you're letting your looks speak for you. So you don't even have to open your mouth, babes. You don't. I strongly recommend you go and listen to Law 9 if you haven't already, because that episode is all about the dignity and the way you command attention from the inside, from the work that you do internally to radiate that self-respect and that dignity outwards. All right, so that's a wrap for today. I'm so grateful that you are all here. And we've made it to Law 14. I mean, it's kind of an arbitrary number, but I mean, thank you for being here and tuning in every week. And if you're enjoying the podcast so far, please remember to give it a 5-star rating or a thumbs up or a follow, subscribe, whatever applies to the platform that you're listening on. And don't forget that you are the baddest bitch in any building that you step foot in. All right, until next time, stay bad. Love you. Bye.